Beautiful. Let's get started. Leah.
Hey, Kyle.
Hello. How are you
happy
doing?
with my background tonight. I like that. I like my background. My giant
it's very
colorful. Woman-sized flowers. I like that.
Did that come out of our mood board?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's mixed in with a few other mood boards too. I came up with a mood board that was like ravey album art from the 90s, and I've been throwing it on things, and I really like it. So that's ravey album art.
Yeah, it's got a little extra kick.
I'm loving it.
It's like you put a little hot sauce on it. I like it.
We'll be passing out after the meeting, so everyone can.
Yeah. That's great. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the AI Salon. I know we have at least one new person here. We're officially rolling off now. But before we dive in, what's your week been like, Leah?
My week has been very non-AI. It's been a lot of regular photo things, photo conversations, photo vids, photo site, that kind of thing. Sometimes I'm just a photographer. Sometimes I am not the co-founder of the AI Salon. I'm just photographer Leah over here making photos. So it's been a little
lowly photographer, just kicking ass and taking names.
That's what I'm really good at. I'm still figuring out if I'm kicking ass and taking names with the AI, but you know.
No, you're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I kind of went the opposite way that I feel like AI has hit another gear in the past week, and all of a sudden, well, I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it when we get going. Why don't we tell people a little bit about the salon? So if you're new to the salon, Leah and I started the salon the week after ChatGPT launched. And for a little context for you, Michael, since you were like, how technical is this going to get? Part of the philosophy of the salon, why we started it the week after ChatGPT launched, is ChatGPT marked the first time that people who are not developers and engineers could really leverage and, take advantage of AI and machine learning. And that's why they went to 1 million users in 5 days and 100 million users in 6 weeks. And it was the rest of us showing up. And so very similar to the early days of the World Wide Web, where the ability to point and click on the internet exposed the internet to the rest of the world. We're at a similar sort of inflection point. So the salon is really about exploring like what that means, and the meet and greet is really just about getting to know one another and learn. And the fact that things are moving so fast, like there's no way to actually keep up with it. And the only way to do it is to end up in a group like this where you're like, Liz learned something new. Wait, how do you do that, Liz? You're doing that thing? Like, Liz went from like, I might do some pictures to now you're vibe coding applications, right? You're just going nuts. So it's cool. So one of the things that we talk about in the salon is what we now call the cycle of AI readiness. This used to be the journey of AI readiness. We realized it was a cycle. So AI helped us make a linear thing into a cyclical thing. It also gave her some really weird arms, which is, it's good. It's, embrace the jank, right? But the idea of, especially if you're a non-technical person, but anyone trying to figure this stuff out, where to start is with play. And one of the things that makes the AI Salon, I find it such a joy, is that it's a very playful group and a very adventurous group. And then mindfully create is as you learn something, out in the world by playing with these tools, then you can say, hey, now I want to actually solve some problems. And then generously lead is about sharing what you're learning with other people. And it serves you and it serves them. And it actually makes for an incredible community that's very welcoming, whether you're just beginning or you've been doing it for 25 or 30 years. That's what we got going. And part of the thing that makes the salon really tick is our values. So Leah, if you'd be so kind, would you walk us through?
So our values are really, really important. And we keep coming back to them, and I hope other people do as well. And so our first value is curiosity. And that's really what started everything, was me and you getting on a call because we were both curious. And the curiosity, a half-hour call turned into like an hour call. And we just said, let's keep going with this. Lots of questions. So curiosity, we are eager to ask the obvious questions, learn new things, and experiment. Our relentless quest for adventure and exploration ignites our inner spark, transforming our curiosity into unexpected discoveries and newfound passions. Playfulness. We value creativity, joy, and the freedom to experiment. We play first and transform learning into a captivating journey. We collaborate and mindfully create together when we can to learn more, make friends, and develop new circles of trust. Remember, all work and no play is how we did things before the salon.
I want to pause on this one for a second. I want to put a pin in this one. I don't know if anyone has not seen the interview with Sam Altman from Chris Anderson of TED. It's worth watching. Chris Anderson basically came after Altman, and it was kind of like an old man, like, get off my lawn, you sick AI punks. It was really bizarre for a brand that's supposed to be sort of innovation and looking forward. I feel like as these tools are getting better and better, there's a seriousness, and there's the resistance to AI is feeling a bit more palpable. And I think playfulness is an antidote to that, and sort of living in that space of, yeah, but what if these things were expansive and joyful rather than just all the doom and gloom. So that one feels particularly important for me today.
Agreed. Empathy. We are respectful, inclusive, and kind. We value diverse perspectives, recognizing that our differences make us stronger. We accept that people might be afraid and angry, and we work to understand them. We actively practice gratitude and acknowledge the efforts and successes of those around us. Humans matter. And this is something I really like to think about and hone in on with new folks, especially when we're in like a new group. We have now, I think, 3,000 members in our salon. So something to think about is when you're posting in comments or you're posting in our chat, understand that you are posting to everyone. And before you type, think, how is this going to land on the people who are going to receive it? Think of what you're doing as an offering. Think of the communication as an offering. If you feel like it isn't going to land, or what you're offering isn't going to be received well, this isn't the place to do that. And that's something I think a lot about as we go through the community. We have some amazing opportunities in our salon to get involved, ask for help, ask the community, show work. People are showing vulnerabilities and they're sharing. So it's really, the empathy sort of lands on me a lot, especially with new folks. As you're getting to know your way around here, understand that your communication should be an offering and a gift for the other people in the salon. Empathy. Bravery. We have the courage to step into the unknown, taking bold actions in the face of fear and challenging ourselves to push the boundaries of what we thought possible. Let's face it, with everything changing as fast as it is, we're all making this up as we go along anyway. Might as well be brave about it. Generosity. We are willing to share our resources, feedback, and wisdom with others and support each other's growth and development. There is so much happening and so much to learn. We can't possibly keep up with it all. Understand that even if something is obvious to you, it might be a profound revelation to someone else. Learn out loud, share what you know, generously lead. And again, new folks, like, one of the things that has blown me away about the salon is how, and generative AI is how we get to know our one thing that we do very well. And we may not know something that feels really obvious to other people. And so generosity is sharing what you know, because it will blow someone's mind, what you've learned and what you know. So share.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And the site I'm looking at, if you haven't seen it, is the AI Salon, the Mighty Networks, where the community is hosted for the AI Salon. So it's aisalon.mn.co. And a lot of different areas. The sort of first little 7 steps here are kind of the, start your adventure, and you can win a badge if you do all those things. The most important one here, I think, is introduce yourself. So if you're new, jump into the introduce yourself section and do that. Community Corner has, a lot of things about the salon and announcements and things like that. There's a news area. The Mastery Workshop is where you can show off work you've made. So if you go into the Look What I Made section, you can share everything from pictures to songs to videos to whatever. You can also find out about tools and projects and collaborations. And then back to that spirit of generosity. The clubs and hubs these are all little sub-communities within the salon, clubs, where people can really get to know each other. And they're often led by folks that are just passionate about a particular area, things like that. So with that, let me open it up. If there's anyone here from a club or a hub or our new events that we've been doing, are Learn Out Louds, LOLs, and those have been really, really popular and successful. So if anyone wants to talk about a club, a hub, or a Learn Out Loud, raise your hand and I will pull you up here. Claire Jacobs.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
I am Claire of Brandon and Claire, AI Life Hacks with Brandon and Claire. And we meet the evening that follows the AI Salons meeting. So not tonight, but tomorrow night we will be meeting at 5:30 Mountain Time. So come join us. Come share interesting things that you can do with AI, interesting things that you'd like to be able to do with AI, interesting things that you shouldn't try with AI, like the guy who got in trouble with the judge for using an AI lawyer but didn't tell her, and she was not happy with him. I posted that. That was painful. So things to do, things not to do, and come join a really fun group.
Fantastic. Thank you. Vicky.
Caught me unawares. I'm sorry. So a couple of things. We had a Learn Out Loud last Saturday. Learning to use N8N was very fun. I created my first automation in during the session, and then perfected it over the next 10 hours where I could not let it go. And we don't have another one planned just yet, but we are looking for another topic, which I'm going to put in the salon. But as far as clubs go, I am the co-leader of the Ethics Club with Joy Purdy. And we have a meeting coming up on the 24th, which I also have not done an event notice for yet. But we will be talking to a lady called Elena Winters on the topic is Beyond Clickbait, Ethical Dimensions of AI Companionship. So Elena has an AI husband, and she has a whole presentation ready to go, and it should be interesting. So I think it's a Thursday, the 24th of April.
Wow. Yeah, that should be a good one.
Yep.
Fantastic.
One heck of a life hack.
I know, right?
Right? Yes.
Diana, you have your hand up.
So I'm part of a group called the Secret AI Society. I don't know if I'm sure some of you have heard of it, but it was my first intro into AI. And I love everything about it. It's a great connection hub because I took it because I'm very brand new. So I'm brand new, I want to say, since August, when I really got interested into it, and I just needed to learn some more. So in my experience, what I love about it is not only do the coaches use video, and they'll show you exactly, here's Luma Labs, and here's how to create a website, and here's how to create a brand, and all this other stuff. But as things get newer, it's really interesting because they're like, oh, guess what now? This came out. So, it's almost hard to keep up a lot. But
it's impossible to keep up.
Of course it is, but I love that they're not shy about showing you, hey, here's something new, and these are the pros and cons of this application versus that application. So I know that they're raising their prices. It really is not the cheapest group to join, and then they have like a specialized Lux community group. But I like it because I like what I learned from it. It was my main entrance into it. And through them, I joined She Leads AI, and now She Is AI. And I can't even believe that I'm in the same group as some of the most talented AI artists I've ever seen. Awesome. Or that they think I'm anyway interesting, but by trade. Great. But that's it. So that's the group I wanted to talk about.
Okay, great. Welcome. All right.
I wanted to jump into with clubs and hubs. Clubs and hubs are salon clubs and hubs, not just any general clubs and hubs. So if you're excited about a club or something you're involved in outside the salon, definitely drop it into the chat, share it with everyone. And maybe when we do intros, you can jump in and say something that you're really excited about. But what we're talking about right now are just updates from the clubs that are going on in our salon. So something you've learned or you're taking away from one of the clubs and hubs in our salon, because there's so much out there. There's so many things we can, share and talk about.
Tomorrow, hey, Ann, you want to talk about here? Let me bring you up. Tomorrow, this is salon tangential. This is salon adjacent. So Ann and I, about 6 weeks ago, started the AI Readiness Project, and it's a podcast that happens on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, so 3 p.m. your time there in Oregon, and we talk about AI readiness and that sort of stuff. Who's our guest tomorrow? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So we have some really neat guests coming up. Tomorrow is Carl Ye. Carl is one of the 5 or 6 people who have shown up every single day since the beginning of whenever with a show. There's 6 of them. They talk about hot topics in AI. And he's like the CEO whisperer who helps people figure out that integrating AI into their business is actually rather complicated, and that there are a certain set of things that need to happen in a particular order for it to work well. He's fantastic. And then the week after that, we have Angelina Martin, who wrote this juicy little number, ADHD plus AI. I can't imagine why she's coming on the show with me and Kyle.
Our show. The fact that it happens every week is absolutely, it's like a little miracle every week. So
put a link in the chat to find it.
We don't have an easy way to find it right now. We do have the domain. We just haven't done anything with it yet. So we need to read the book.
Yeah. Oh, you want the book? So yes, and we had Kim Offord last week, and we've had Joy Purdy. She was our debut. Lots of friends of the salon, and we're promoting the AI Readiness Program through the AI Readiness Project podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. One more time. Let's say I want to listen to the podcast. How do I listen to it? Where do I go to find that?
YouTube. Yeah.
YouTube. Okay.
The
great.
Salon YouTube and the She Leads AI YouTube.
Excellent.
And coming soon to a podcast channel of your liking. But
Okay.
For anyone who might be wondering, well, first of all, I think most of us who know us can acknowledge it is a small miracle that it happens every Wednesday. But and thank God for people behind the scenes who are helping us make it happen. We find ourselves in soft launch mode. So highly recommend when you start anything and it's just, hodgepodge lodge, just call it soft launch. And then
instead of apologizing for it, we are successfully in soft launch.
We're in our very intentional soft launch part of our journey. And then we'll have a real podcast.
We are planning for a radical launch and success.
You still have a real podcast. It's a real podcast.
It is.
It's very good. It's good. It's really good. Yeah.
Ruby. All right. Thank you, Ann. All right, cool. So let's jump in. So here's what I want to unpack and tee up, Leah. I'd love to get your thoughts, and then maybe we can, just sort of popcorn around if anyone's got any thoughts about this. So I now have 2 dates that I think are important in the generative AI thing. I only had one before, which was November 30th, 2022, the launch of ChatGPT. I think that marks a line in the sand.
Well, the week later when the salon launches.
Well, that's exactly. That was. We'll roll those 2 together. Those 2 seminal moments in AI history.
That's right. Most important.
And I think March 31st, 2025 was when the new image gen, the integrated image gen launched inside ChatGPT. It's not particularly because it was OpenAI that I think it's important, but I think it's actually interesting that it was OpenAI that also did it, because there were other players that could have done it. Gemini has native image generation in it, but there's just something about it that's not quite there. There's something about having a tool that is as capable as it is of not just generating images, but generating complete images. You can generate a complete meme or a complete ad or a complete infographic, or right, you know, it takes it to another level. And when you do that in the context of a chat, it's just a different thing. And then I feel like the announcements that have come since March 31st, it's like every single one of them is a significant quality improvement in large language models, in video models. It's just one after another after another. Like I was last night on my TikTok live, I was trying to show 3 things, and there were like 2 things I just couldn't even get to. And like there were more announcements coming in, and we got off, and Brandon said, "Oh, here's another thing." It's just so the acceleration is accelerating. But here's what I want to talk about.
Okay.
I was reminded before we started of my favorite video game in the 90s. For most of you here, fair amount are old enough to remember this, but if you're not, was a game called Myst. Right? And
Myst.
If you don't know Myst, it was a like this sort of atmospheric, very slow-paced puzzle game where you walked around this Myst island and you solved these puzzles and you got to different sections of the island. And way back then, we actually got to interview Rand and Robin Miller for Urban Desires, which was an online magazine I had started. And so, but here was the thing about Myst, that one of the things that captivated me so much. This was in like 1995, and I think Myst came out in 94 or something like that. Or it was 96. It was somewhere in the mid 90s. This was at a time when computers were relatively weak. GPUs were, I think, just coming online, or, you know, we weren't really sure how to accelerate graphics. Almost all of the game studios were trying everything they could to squeeze as much performance out of the computer as possible. And so you had these real-time games, full screen 3D games that were really janky, and they were really slow, and they were really bad. And what Myst did was they took a constraint, which was QuickTime at the time. When you played a QuickTime video on a personal computer, it was about the size of a postage stamp. It was like an inch wide and 3/4 of an inch high. And that was like in the middle of a 13-inch screen. You just had this much that you could play video. And so what Rand and Robin Miller did was they fully rendered the screen as a static screen. And then there was one element on it, like there was a book that you would open up that had a video animation on it. So they took this one constraint and made it like this really beautiful, like moment within, you know, a beautifully rendered screen that they didn't have to render in real time. And then they used audio design, like the sound of water, you know, trickling by as you were sitting there. It was a very enveloping game. And why I was reminded of it again is that I remember playing that game with my wife, and it was, we had an apartment in Brooklyn, and we had this little hallway where the computer was. And so we'd turn out the lights in the hallway and we'd just sit there, and, you know, the game was glowing, and we're like, you know, trying to solve these puzzles. And it was, you know, it was just this magical thing. I feel like we've hit a point with essentially every single AI tool, with the exception of 3D world builders, where there are now tools absolutely capable of creating work that is so good it's indistinguishable from human-only work. And if you're curious and you experiment and you're playing with this stuff, you probably know the combination of, okay, if I use this tool over here and make this kind of image here and go to this image generator there, you can start to make work. If you're creative with it the way they were, you can kind of work around these constraints, and you can generate work that is, you know, fully something that, you know, blows people's minds, or not even blows their minds. They just go, oh, that's real. And I'll share something that happened this week for me. So I've got this musical that I've written about AI, and we're trying to get producers. And we had a producer that said, oh, that podcast video that you made is really good. You should make a movie of the musical, and then that'll help you get it produced. And I was like, yeah, we actually could. Like, the animations are good enough that people can sing. So I created a teaser, the opening to the video what we thought was, wouldn't it be cool if we had a video that looked like someone had a handheld video camera in Times Square, and they're sort of walking down Times Square, and there's our poster on the big marquee, and then you turn down 44th Street in New York, and there's the marquee, and then you've got your playbill, and you've got your ticket, and you enter the theater. And so I put that up on TikTok, the video, and it looks I think it looks pretty cool. And someone who is a regular on my channel who knows AI posted a comment on the thing. He said, "Congratulations, you really deserve that." He thought it was real. He thought,
Right.
in a year, I'd gotten a show produced on Broadway. I wish maybe a year from today.
2 years.
But I just it feels like we've crossed something. It feels like we've shifted into a different place. And so, I know that one of the things that you struggle with, Leah, from a creative standpoint is like this boundary between human only work and generated work. And, what is your craft and what is your right? And so I'm just curious, and you were sort of checked out of AI for this week. So I'm just curious where your head is with, we knew it was coming. We started this organization because we knew it was coming, but I kind of feel like we've crossed into, it's kind of here.
It is here. And I think a lot of my clients are still trying to figure out what to do with it, if they're even thinking about it at all. Right. I know I was working on an image library last month, and I delivered all the images from the image library to the client. And then I started playing around with making more images from that image library that looked like images that I would have made, but didn't made. And I sent it to my client, and they were like, "This is so creepy. We don't know. I don't know what to do." Like, the images are creepy. They're like, no, just that you just did this is creepy. I was like, oh,
yeah.
Okay. You can't tell that they're like, she couldn't get her head around what I had just done. She's been a photo editor for 25 years, right? She lives in a silo of photography and creativity. She's a photo creative director. And I think that in my world, well, first of all, we're all looking at images now, and we don't know if they're made by generative AI or they're made with a camera. You just can't tell a lot of the time anymore. But I think we all still think they're made with a camera. And it's a very sort of strange time we're in between. And it reminds me of when we shifted to digital, like clients that didn't know what FTP was, right? They didn't understand that I could now FTP them images. They were like, well, what about contact sheets? Well, I shot it with a digital camera. Well, there's no contact sheets. Well, no, I'm FTPing it. And I think a lot of the same things going on with generative AI.
Yeah.
And so slowly, as I'm talking to people about AI, I find people here or there who are really excited about it. But I think a lot of people are still trying to figure out how to integrate it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's it's done a weird thing for me. One of my little twisted pleasures is when the tools were still janky, I would like to do things like go into Midjourney and have it create a sketch that looked like, it was done with blueprint drafting tools. And then I would do a Twitter post of oh, this weekend I taught myself blueprint drafting, and here's the first sketch I made. And I would put it up there, and some people would think it was real, and most people knew it wasn't. All of a sudden, that feels not right to do, because it feels like we're very much at the point now where you can't tell, and it starts to get weird where I don't know, we have to deal with that. So,
well, but do we need to tell, right?
I don't know.
Is that important? Is it about consuming? Is it about, as people who are taking in media and taking in the world around us, does it matter how it was created?
Yeah.
Right. And if an image can look the same coming out of a camera as it comes with generative AI, and we experience it the same way, does it matter how it was made? And I keep thinking okay, well, what can we do with AI that we can't really do in camera? Like my background, right? This doesn't look like something I'd be able to make a photograph of in real life without days of building a set in a studio where I'm putting flowers in place and then, doing special effects.
Or some pretty sophisticated photoshopping, right?
That's right. That's right. And so for me, I still think a lot about well, what can't we do with all of the tools we already have that generative AI can do? So that's a question we keep asking too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Diana.
So here's a comment. Isn't AI a human created tool? Can that not be the obvious answer to, I get your point. Is it real? Is it not real? But isn't it still human work to a point? I mean, can't that be a great argument? And then, of course, on Instagram, if you post anything on Instagram AI related, there's that dial that says AI created this.
Right.
particularly because I do a lot of things with dogs. I have AI dogs. So of course I like to beep, the AI creation. And I like the AI creative dial because if I do something for work, if I do something for homelessness, I work for a homelessness corporation. I like to remind people that those people aren't real. But that's me. That's part of a liability clause for me and what I do. I love AI for that.
So let's do this. Let's just flip into, hey Brandon. So can you change the timer to be 3 minutes instead of 2?
Yes, I can.
All right, beautiful. So we're gonna pop you up on screen. So here's what we're gonna do. So at a meet and greet, we like to meet and greet one another. Hence the name. Clever, huh? And we've got news. I'll come back to news. I want to start this conversation because this feels like a good meaty conversation. So here's what we're gonna do. So raise your hand, and we'll start with you, Diana, since you're already talking. You were kind of starting this. So here's what to do: introduce yourself, share your name, where you are, and what you do, and then here's the question I'd like everyone to answer. So think about it. As AI generation evolves to be indistinguishable from human-only work, what does that mean to you? Right? So I just want a personal take on it. So as we, enter this new era, if indeed that's the case, but I'm pretty sure it is, what does it mean to you that we're now creating work that is indistinguishable from human? So with that, let's pin the timer. Oh, and if you haven't been here before, Brandon vibe coded this cool timer. There we go. And so you have 3 minutes. Is that 3 minutes? Yes, it is. So the light will start green, then it'll go yellow, and then it goes red. And when it goes red, you're done, and we'll pull you off stage. It'll be humiliating. But name, who, where you work, or where you are, what you do, and then given what's happening, what does it mean to you personally? So, Diane. Hello, nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you for having me here. My name's Diana Chelgren, and I currently work for a nonprofit as a learning and development specialist, helping the homeless, creating trainings and stuff for the homeless community. AI is great for me, and I will tackle why I like that question, because for me, it limits liability. If I create things, an ad or a video or something about homelessness, about anything, I can say they're fake people. But that's how I take it, because it limits. I don't have to get media releases. I don't have to ask permissions. They're all invented people. And so for me, I like that.
Beautiful. Michael.
Yeah, I'm Michael Tanner. I work for Dice Media Group. For my AI kind of stuff that I like, we do databases and stuff with AI Assist and things like that. But what I like to do is I make films. And what this means to me is that me with just a little tiny, like semi-ovular green screen, I can do amazing sets. I can do projections. I can do all kinds of fun things. But I'm really afraid, if I was honest, is that we're just going to get a lot more crap out there, because AI will do exactly what people say. It's like the Queen problem. I paid people, they did what I said, and that was the main problem. And if you look at George Lucas, he actually wanted this kind of vision a long time ago, and Star Wars would have been crap if he got away with it. Okay. So there's no saying stop, right? Jerry Lewis was an amazing actor and everything, but when his stuff that was really crappy was stuff that he did all by himself. And I think that I'm making an AI movie animation too, but I think that it does take away the creativity and stuff, and it's very easy for somebody to take your work and copy it. And I also worry that if you get an R.R. Martin book, right, and you plug it through an AI and the AI learns from it, it can make something that reads very much like R.R. Martin. And so I'm worried that that's a different type of plagiarism. And so from a media standpoint, I also would be very careful, because a lot of the music that you hear right now, okay, they're just plumbing it back. They're interpolating it is what they call it. Okay. But that you can hear the songs from the 80s being played by new artists, and they interpolated it and used some AI to help them make it. And it sounds so much just like what the song was, but they changed some of the words or whatever. And so it means that a lot of creative people could be out the door. We're seeing a lot of jobs just go fly away. And we're seeing, and it's not just the basic level job, it's the higher level professionals, the other people. Like if I produce my movie, right, and I work on it, it takes years. For me, it takes years to make a movie. It really does. It takes that 5 minutes or 30 seconds of film, whatever that I put out, might take me hours and hours to actually go through the process and think it out. And then to be an AI assist. By the way, another really quick thing: if you
got about
fully generated AI, you don't get to keep the IP with the SCOTUS.
All right, beautiful. Thank you. Nice to meet you. I'm just going to call on people. Kaki.
Hey y'all. So I'm enjoying everything that I'm learning, and especially when we do like the learn out louds. I love being creative.
Introduce yourself.
Oh yeah, sure. My name's Kaki Fitzsimmons, and I live in the Twin Cities. And I won't say the whole other part. But I live in the Twin Cities, and I'm born and raised. And photography has been a hobby of mine for a long time. I like to write. I've written children's books, all that kind of stuff. And I'm so curious about what I can do with AI to create art, just as my own personal thing. But I'm also trying to figure out, you guys use the words AI readiness, and business readiness is a term that we use in organizational change management, right? And so I'm trying to figure out where that intersection is between how I can help executives sort of bridge that gap and bring AI into the fold. And I don't have all the answers yet, but I'm learning. And everybody in the salon's been so helpful. And I've used it a lot with my blog while I'm actively looking for work, whether it's freelance or full time. And I want to put some stuff out there where people go, wow, she did that. I'm just not sure where to start yet.
Do you think there's something about the quality of work hitting a certain level of indistinguishableness for your executive change management that could be a bridge there? Or do you think that's going to be like a resistance point?
No, I think it could be a bridge, especially when they understand, the most valuable resource we have is time, right? And there's a gazillion ways to show advisors or show people how to save time using AI, how it can make their lives, simpler and more productive. And so, I think when you're talking about AI adoption, there's so many things that can come into the midst. You can talk about resistance management. You can talk about, leadership development and coaching leaders through change so that they're making the people that are recipients of the change understand and be clear about what the messaging is. So I think it's a tool that could enhance, but I do think that there's probably a way that, we have to navigate how we're going to bring it up.
Yep.
In a way that's not disruptive and in a way that they're open to receiving it.
I think you start out by cloning their passport and just show it to them. That should make you feel comfortable. All right. Thank you, Kaki. Yeah. Ann Murphy. Tell us who you are. Tell the people who you are.
Tell myself. So My name is Ann Murphy, and I am here in Corvallis, Oregon, just down the street from Gareth Hood and also Serena and maybe some other folks here. And what do? I have two big things that I do. One is I own a fundraising consulting company called Empowered Fundraiser Consulting and Coaching. We work with nonprofits, higher ed, and but mostly doing fundraising consulting, but also doing professional development for fundraisers. And then the other hat that I get to wear is as founder of She Leads AI. The mission of She Leads AI is to unite accomplished women to advance AI for global prosperity. And we do that through an academy where we have all of our educational content, a consulting agency, we have public affairs and policy, and we have the She Leads AI Society, which is our membership community, which everyone, all women in AI are invited to attend our social Saturdays where we spend 2 hours just kicking it, talking about AI. And at the end of that meeting, I always have to turn it over to a new host, and they stay on for like the rest of the day practically. So you're always invited to that. We would love to have you and see you. And what it means to me right now, personally, I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of weeks talking about relationships with AI personas and personalities, and what that means for the fact that everyone we are involved with is going to have an AI character, persona, avatar, whatever in their life.
Yep.
And we all have had some experience with when you're with somebody and you also know that they're heavily influenced by somebody else. It's like there's three people in the room, right? But now it's going to be everyone always having their avatar, maybe before our conversation, maybe during our conversation, after our conversation. So we're really always going to be working with that third person in the room. And so I'm trying to figure out what that means for me as a fundraiser, right? And for me as a community leader.
That's fascinating. Yeah, you're going to have people that could barely remember your name before. Now, all of a sudden, remembering all the details of your last conversation.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute. You scammer.
Yeah. Sorry, my mic sounds bad. It's the wrong one.
That's all right. Liz. Hello.
Hey, all right. Hi, everybody. All right. Following Ann, tough act to follow. I'm Liz Miller-Gershfeld, and I am in Chicago, Illinois, and I've been participating in the salon for a pretty good amount of time. And what I did, I was an advertising agency producer for about 23 years. And then in October 2022, I went on my own and have been investigating and building a lot of skills in AI and investigating what it means to be a creative producer at a certain level using AI tools and where it fits into the workflow. And as the work becomes indistinguishable from human work, it's about more for me, the story, the emotion, the creative judgment, and the integrity behind it. But one thing that I really sort of came to, I just finished a website and it was like, here's how I demonstrate all the things I can make and I can do. And it really, I have not shared it far and wide because it occurred to me that it really in this time is less about the maker. This ability, that the work is indistinguishable almost from human work. I feel like there's almost a different way to talk about it and a different way to show it. And actually, I attended one of the She Leads social Saturdays, and Anne, you asked the question, who do I serve and how can I help? And so I've really been sort of at this moment with this new website, and it's, and this feeling that it's much less about the maker, and asking those questions. So I know my time is up, but that's sort of where I am.
No, it's fascinating. I mean, like what you're talking about is reimagining the portfolio, right? Like you don't necessarily show the work, you show who you are, how you are. Like again, it goes like to me, it feels like it circles back to get your butt in community, right? Because how people know who you are and how you work is to know who you are and how you work. And is there a way to represent that? That's fascinating.
I feel like there's a bridge.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. So do you know what you're going to do with it yet? Do you have a vision for what you want to do?
Ask me in a couple weeks.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay. No, I think it's an amazing exploration. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great to see you. Ivan.
Hello, my friend. This is Ivan Duran. I live in Katy, Texas. I'm 12 years old, and I just started in the AI Salon like 2 years ago. I am an IT technician in the morning, and I in the AI Salon every night. And after that, every night I'm building my Alibaba store. I just got a membership. I have a few stores that I'm trying to put all together automatically. I'm creating a persona. I just started the other day in a live in TikTok. Big mistake, but I don't know how Shannon can do it every day. And for me, AI has given me wings. Has changed my life, and I want to thank you, Kai Shannon. I want to thank you, the AI Salon. My life has changed 360. I stopped watching TV the way I watch it, the way I was watching soccer, the way I was watching or approaching to people. I'm into myself. I have the ADD, and I have lived all the stages that Kai Shannon has living. I was telling, I have the same thing, same ideas, and I always have a different idea. I have a perfume that I'm doing. I have promotion, marketing. I have 3 websites. One that built from scratch. One I building the Infinity AI Salon. It's a project that I'm doing, and I have a podcast saying what is that. I don't have the time to say that. And I have another website, Duty Free Design, that we're going to be replicating all the products that I have in Alibaba. I'm going to replicate it in this dutyfreedesign.com. After they are replicating there, I'm going to replicate in my Etsy, eBay, in all the stores. And I'm doing everything with no money. I do not have a money to do a website. Recently, I paid somebody $400 in India to make us my duty-free designs. It took like 5 months, no more. So,
Exactly.
No more. So I'm gonna do myself. Yes.
Great.
And, if anybody wants to help, please. And if you need help, call me. Even I don't have time in my day, I will help you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ivan. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm noticing, like I noticed it with Anne, I noticed it with myself, like, you know, when you introduce yourself anymore, you're like, here's who I am, and I do this, oh, and then I do this, and then I do that, and then I started this, and then I wrote that, and now I got a podcast. It's like AI.
I need 40 hours. I need 40 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Clara.
Hi, me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Claire.
wait.
I forgot to tell you that.
Clara. Sorry.
No, I think he's saying with the A.
Yeah, Clara. And then Clara, I'll get to you.
I'm backing out.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Clara Schmidt. I live outside Washington, D.C. in Alexandria, Virginia. I'm a product designer for a geospatial company. And I kind of jumped into AI last year. I think I might have been invited to this group by Vicky or somebody else. But I had kind of come in by way of TikTok and a different content community. And while I was doing like sort of marketing through Midjourney image generation for a book that I'm writing. So I'm an aspiring novelist, but I'm currently a product designer. So kind of doing multiple things, as you said, at once with AI. So for my day job, I'm trying to build an accessibility knowledge assistant to help our customers learn how to make accessible data visualizations.
Hmm.
And then on the side, I'm also trying to build the writing app I wish I had. So now I'm like in using Replit and trying to learn Vercel and building AI assistants. And in between, I've taken a bunch of classes through Maven. So I just kind of wanted to find more people where I could connect with. And I think in terms of AI, it's interesting because the independent publishing / author area is really anti-AI. Met a lot of people, and I understand why, in kind of the same, like the training of the models was done somewhat unethically. So I'm trying to balance like using AI in my work, probably not for cover art. Like I want to respect the artists who might have had like images stolen by Midjourney or Dolly. And so I'll probably hire somebody to design the cover, but I might use AI currently I like wrote a script to compare the world building notes against the chapters and look for inconsistencies.
Oh, nice.
So to me, that's like not, and then maybe it's taken the role of developmental editor, but to me, I'm like, okay, now I can take the money that maybe I would have put towards first pass at that and hire a sensitivity editor instead. So
yeah, I love it. I think those boundaries, I think you're hitting on a really important thing, that the personal boundaries we choose are actually really important, right? You know, someone may choose it to, I'm happy to have it write emails, but it's never going to write a chapter of my book. And I think those are very personal choices. So thank you for sharing those. That was great. Chris Furno. Wait, Bob had his hand up. You keep disappearing, Bob. Who wants to
I'm
go?
here. My dogs keep barking, so I keep running out. So sorry.
Okay. Who wants to go? Bob or Chris? Either one.
I can go if you want. That's no problem.
All right, jump in.
I'm Bob. I formerly Bob AI Bob, now Bob the Realtor, because I was confusing a bunch of my people. Applying for Fantastic Bob through the week. I can hardly wait for it to be indistinguishable between humans. I'm really adjusting to the Hey Gen setup, and I really think I could be a lot more efficient. Started making some videos originally, and the hours that it took to shoot it, edit it, and really make it worthwhile. We were spending about 5 hours for a 5-minute video, and that's not really effective. And it was also taking a lot of time up during other things. So now I have digital twins for everything. I developed digital twins that are my ideal client, and everything I do, I bounce off of that. And the ideas that have come from that have been absolutely amazing. I basically made them what I would want as an ideal client, and then they discuss it with me based upon the topics that I was giving to them. And it works really, really well. But probably the coolest thing that I've rolled out, I have an office with about 400 agents in it. And I think I mentioned this before, that I had the Notebook LM in an office setting. We basically had 4 or 5 people in office. Ultimately, 10, 15 people showed up. I did it again on Wednesday, and it was the largest attended meeting we've had, primarily because they thought this person that was talking was an expert specifically to our office, and the questions that came out of it were awesome. But it also made everybody on the same page, because that was an unbiased third party, and it really changed the whole rules of engagement about how we ran our business. So I can hardly wait for this stuff to be able to be ubiquitous to humans. I can't believe how, even since the starting of the AI Learning Lab, the Hey Gen setup that you did has gotten so much better, to the point where initially it was kind of funny to see how janky it is, but now it's getting to the point where you're going to really have a hard time telling, which I think is ideal. Now I can actually make video content specifically to a person and send it to them, and I could do it in a very quick and cost-effective manner, and I've never been able to do that before.
Yeah, it's amazing. And if you haven't played with it, I'm sure you have, because you're on the learning, or the Learning Lab. But if you haven't played with Cartesia text to speech, I think it's better than 11 Labs in terms of making stuff that just sounds human.
Okay.
I think it's Cartesia.ai.
Does it do video?
No, it just does audio.
Okay.
So, all right, cool. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Chris.
Hello, I'm Chris Houston and or Bruno, and I am in St. Paul, Minnesota. So another St. Pauli girl. And what do I do? So I'm in global communications for a ginormous company that you all probably interact with 20 times a day. And so to the human question, and so I think I think of AI truly as a tool, but it's a tool that's used in so many different ways. And so like I just wrote a list out so I wouldn't veer off and get my red lighted and get yanked off the stage. So it's a compass. So it's like a moral compass and an ethical compass that keeps me aligned to the values. And you know, the ethical use of the tool, and just keeping other audiences in mind too when I do an output. It's like it's a needle and thread sometimes, like that can like stitch together disparate sort of collections or find sort of the commonalities. So it's like it's a weaver, Bobby and a weaver. It's a spotlight sometimes, so it surfaces blind spots that I think us humans have, and I think that is super helpful. It's a power tool that speeds up our output. It's a mirror that reflects back to sharpen our direction. It's a studio assistant, you know, when maybe we're not the most creative, but maybe we think we are. It's a filter that cuts through noise. And I think, yes, us humans are going to have to know how to drive it like an F1 car. Right. And so I'm Italian, so I have to say I'm on Team Ferrari, but like I want to be on McLaren because I like the mango color. So yeah, it's a tool, but we all use it so many different ways, and we're hearing it here in every example. And so yeah, it's a tool, but it needs a human to drive it, I think, to give it direction. So that's kind of what I look at it as.
Beautiful. Love it. Thank you. Brandon, Tid.
Yeah, hi, I'm Brandon. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, sitting and waiting for Bob, the real estate Donegan, to collaborate with Jim, 3 Mile storage, self-storage facility, in the epic AI collaborative moving and storage experience. But you know, by day I'm a software architect and software consultant, and so I'm looking at the experience of having AI come in and write code and edit and collaborate with it, and that's essentially an existential crisis to my financial stability. But then I actually use it and I'm like, oh, I'm good for a little while, because it tends to error out and still needs that human in the loop. But that's kind of where I'm at right now, is at that intersection of just in awe and being amazed by the technology and what it's capable of, and not really sure what it means for me in either the short term or the long term. So I'm just trying to be as curious as possible and lean in as far as possible, experimenting and understanding where all of the challenges lie and all of the strengths lie. Co-hosting the AI Life Hacks Club with Claire and Brandon tomorrow night, we kind of deep dive and say, okay, what is AI really good at? What is AI not so good at right now? And where can you use it to improve the quality of your life, either professionally or personally? You know, I've got 2 small kids, 7 and 4. ChatGPT and AI images are already a household use case for us. My son was enjoying listening to a song that he created using Suno for the first time, using a prompt, and he asks for it by name. He goes, "Can we listen to the song I made?" And so they're taking ownership of the process of being that crafter, and they recognize the tool. And I forgot where I heard it, so I can't give it credit, but somebody said AI is not a tool, it's a toolbox. And there's a bunch of different tools in that toolbox. And depending on what problem you're trying to solve, you might be able to reach for a different tool, be it Gemini or ChatGPT or Suno or Midjourney. And sometimes those tools work together. Like sometimes you need the hammer and the screwdriver together to get something unstuck. but it was a really good analogy that helped me solidify that I'm kind of that mechanic that comes in with the toolbox behind me and saying, here's how I can solve your problems. And so what that looks like 6 months, a year from now, I don't know, but I'm excited to be along for the ride and learning on the bleeding edge of technology as it evolves ever so rapidly.
I love if that feels significant to me what your son said. I like the toolbox analogy too. Like, you know, a cabinet maker uses lots of tools to make that beautiful cabinets, but your son, like, you know, out of the mouths of babes, it's like this innocent thing. Here's the thing I made. He's not judging what tool he used, right? He said, I want a song about X, Y, or Z, whatever it was, and he made it. And for him, that's the song he likes to listen to. Like, that feels, there's something brilliant about that unattachment to the judgment of the tool. feels nice.
And I will absolutely share that in the Look What I Made section of the AI Salon later.
Oh,
tonight.
good. Yeah, do that. Perfect. All right, great. Heather Probst. I don't know if I said your last name right.
Yeah, that's correct. Hi. I'm also relatively new here. I have been a software developer until recently. I was recently laid off. Whether or not I was displaced by AI, I don't really know. And I sort of think I wasn't. But anyway, here we are. I've just begun sort of really talking to ChatGPT, and we've been having a lot of conversations, mainly around job hunting and helping me with resumes, helping me, giving me guidance. And I really enjoy interacting with it and getting inspiration and sort of bouncing ideas off of it. It's sort of gotten me started on some projects that I'm working on, such as a Python website that I've been, that it sort of nudged me to start, into a few projects. But I also realized that making isn't nearly as gratifying as it was. Well, the making process is still very gratifying, but the result isn't nearly as much of an accomplishment as it was, because a lot of these results are just so easily reproducible. So I'm having to come to terms with that. And to Liz's point, what is the significance of making now? I mean, I've always considered, and this is, I guess, my main challenge or a big revelation when it comes to AI. I've always considered myself a maker from the time I was 13 and learned to sew, and was making a lot of clothes, to learning to build my first website in the 90s. Making has always been incredibly satisfying and almost the reward in and of itself for me rather than the money. So that when I learn a new skill, or when I finally figure out how to do something, it's just that's it for me. And so I'm trying to understand how I'm going to get that feeling in the world of AI. But another thing I started thinking about was I've never been a manager, and I've always been the one that makes things and the one that gets tasks delegated to them rather than delegating tasks. So now I think if I want to succeed, I have to think more like a manager. A person who delegates to other makers, and how do I use makers? And that's going to be, the big challenge for me. But in other news, I really love fashion, and I was exploring digital fashion a couple of years ago, and I sort of taught myself Blender a little bit, but I'm very fascinated with digital fashion, which isn't exactly AI. I think that's still a field that humans are, just the whole transition from clothing we wear in the world to clothing we wear on screen only. But I think there's going to be a place for AI in that world once it really starts to evolve. And maybe we should have a fashion group here. I'd really like to get involved in that.
Well, you can reach out to Vicky if you want to start a club
Oh,
or
okay.
even do a learn out loud if you want to talk about what you learned. The other thing that I'll share, Heather, that I've been thinking about a lot since actually the 90s is the difference between creative product and creative process. And I think how we create creative products is shifting radically, but we can find creative process, even if we're using different tools. But I think we are going to have to redefine, like defining where the value is in creative process. If you like sewing, like sitting down at the sewing machine, then you may choose to still do it that way because you enjoy the process. But I think we're going to be able to find creative processes using AI tools. It's just going to be very different than what it was before.
And I'll jump in here because Heather, like I'm a maker just like you, and I also love sewing, and I love doing human-made work as well as AI. And I think that I am also a maker, and I just, like, people who know me know that there's always like half-finished projects laying around my house, and I'm always making stuff. And I think that one of the things that I'm excited about with AI is that what it will do is it'll help us amplify and scale the very human making, right? Like I'm really looking forward to the AI tool that comes out that will look at my body and adjust a pattern for me, so I don't have to manually physically adjust, right? And that maybe we should build that. Like that doesn't.
I'm excited about the future of sewing machines.
That's right. And so like you start thinking about like sewing machines, which haven't changed basically at all.
No, yeah,
they're still the same
Here,
technology. like that's really exciting. That how will AI change that? And that's where I start to think that like, that's where I start to think things get really, really exciting. And so I hear you on that. And I'm a maker too. So
love it. Claire Jacobs.
Now me. Hi. I'm Claire. I'm a psychologist in San Antonio, Texas, and I am also starting a practice as a coach, and using a lot of AI tools in the toolbox, great analogy, to prepare for that so that I can help even more people than I've been able to in a one-on-one psychology practice. And I don't know what's going to end up happening with AI, especially like when I think about it in terms of, my industry, mental health. I'm so looking forward to the breakthroughs. I think that it will be. I have faith that AI can serve a really positive role in helping people, sort of as a therapist, but just like with, as other people have said earlier, AI is not infallible. Not that people are, but, and so we're not there yet. We don't want some update on the AI therapist model to start telling people, sure, go to this website that tells you the really painless ways of, ending things, for example. And I guess that's all for right now.
Interesting, fascinating. Let's see, Chef Kelly.
Oh my. Hi. Sorry, I didn't know you were calling on me. I just happened to be on my computer. My video is not working, but hello. I'm Chef Kelly. I am a corporate chef that is now leaning into sustainability and data science AI for cleaner food sourcing. Most of you know I put this up on social media yesterday. I finally got my certificate from MIT on no-code AI machine learning for data science. So I'm really happy about that. It took me 9 months to finish the course, but I did it. And I think that honestly, when you asked the question earlier about machines wanting to be like humans or non-detectable, I think we're still a really long way from that. And I don't know why I feel that way. Maybe it's because we're so afraid that we're gonna that we're gonna Oh my God, you guys are amazing. Thank you. You know, because we're on one hand really scared that they're gonna like march down the street and take over the world, and on the other hand, you can't like switch out the necklace on a picture of yourself without it going berserk. You know, there's just these little things that we're, thank you guys, that we're still trying to iron out. And I'm still pretty good at detecting. I don't know, it'll probably change soon, but I'm pretty good at detecting when I see a clone or hear an AI voice. So I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Thank you guys.
Actually, no, it'll be a good one. Like I hope you're here when you do it. I mean, I think that's a fascinating thing. Like, you know, maybe just, you know, put together a mental notepad of like, have you been stumped, or at the moment you're stumped and you're like, ah, damn it. You know, that'll be an interesting moment because, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's really good.
Or maybe I won't even know it.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, right? You know, maybe we won't. The thing that blows me away about the will we know it or not is, you know, I thought we were going to have this insane amount of misinformation, and it's mostly people making like, here I am as an action figure. Like, people seem to be having fun with it. It's not as nefarious as everybody predicted, but you know, there's still a chance. But
Kelly, would you put a link to the course that you just did into the chat from MIT?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Beautiful. Serena, are you there? Available? Nisha Money?
I'm here.
Ah, okay. Go.
I mean, I'm not trying to file an extension for my taxes or anything right now, but
tax day.
I'm here. Because you know, I couldn't do it other days before now, right?
Not with our disease.
No. I need the you know, all of the stuff to gang up on me after work. And then I found out that they're not even having people at mailboxes where you used to drop until midnight. Like, anyway, long story. I'm still taking baby steps in AI.
Tell
I
us who you
still
are.
come to meetings. I still,
Hey,
I
Serena,
listen.
tell us who you are.
Sorry. I'm Serena Polici. I live in Portland, Oregon. I am a school psychologist by day, and I want to do lots of other jobs instead of the job I have, although I really like my job. I would just like to be free to do other creative things. I am the artist that my second grade teacher told me I was, and I've rediscovered that, and I love that. I do little things, like I no longer, you know, just send text or a $5 birthday card to people. I actually create something for them and send it, and I enjoy doing that. And I do it with AI, and I love that AI is available. I can still detect when I see most photos and videos, I believe, that are AI generated, but I'm not hating on them because, you know, I saw one recently that had dogs, you know, military dogs jumping out of a plane with soldiers, and I'm thinking, I'm okay with that being AI, right? Because I mean, that would be a lot of money to go up and do all of that for a film. But so that's what I'm doing. I come to the meetings, I listen, and when I get free time on weekends or in the summer, I'm playing more.
Beautiful. Thank you. Nisha Money. Are you there? Going once, Nisha.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Hello.
I'm sort of driving, parking. So let's see. I'm a medical doctor by trade or profession, and I recently decided to do an MFA in film and television production and went to film school and then graduated last fall. at the timing of graduating, AI was coming into the scene, especially for film. And so it became quite exciting and also disillusioning in terms of like all the quick things that we could do all of a sudden, and then also the competition for being able to do that, not only just within ourselves as film students and filmmakers coming on the scene, but then the studios became quite covertly and then maybe more overtly adept at doing a lot of this. And obviously the business has shrunk to some degree.
Yep.
So I decided I should keep my side hustle as being a medical doctor, and so which I've done.
Side hustle as a doctor.
Yeah, so
that's a lot of prep for a side hustle.
I know. So I was like, well, it's a good standby to come back to. So I have, so I've kind of kept my foot a little bit in that side, but at the same token, I'm not getting much traction. My real interest was to create medical drama series based on a lot of my life experience and having also been a doctor in the military, but I still haven't been able to get that pitched and picked up yet. So, but in the interim, I've come back to doctoring to some degree, and actually gone more into the AI med tech space in combination. And so where I'm really now fascinated and pursuing both investment and looking at collaborations and funding support for two things that I'm in the process of wanting to create is a AI biotech med device that'll actually help women optimize hormonal situations, and that can cover from everything from being premenopausal to menopausal. That's both diagnostic and treatment based.
Wow.
And that's something that's yet to be really on the scene, nor is funding or support ever been given hardly to women's health in its marginalized form. And now the current climate is actually, just yesterday, it came down the pike, another $20 billion was cut off from women's health and maternal child health, prenatal and postnatal, which just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So that's one of the reasons. So even more the impetus to see if there's something to be created that's a little tech based and not so dependent on providers so much. And a lot of times we're not educated in medical schools and our subspecialties on really with the women's health aspect, and it's again unfortunately marginalized. So that's one area that I'm working on. And the other one, as I'm having aging and ailing parents medically, I have now become more and more acutely sensitive to how home health care and assisted living care can be beneficial or not so beneficial depending on where you go and how you engage and who the patrons are. And I just had engaged in an AI medtech conference down in San Diego last month. It's called Next Med Health, and they actually have that annually, and it's on the cutting edge of the latest technology in health. And started to discuss in collaboration with some folks that have already started building robots, that if there's not a way to actually create AI robots for home health care. And that's another area that I'm just fascinated and also pulled into. And I say that if there's any folks that are interested in collaboration in that level, also we're garnering already funding support to be able to kind of make that move forward with some feasibility studies.
Beautiful.
I'm interested in chatting with you all too. So thanks.
That's awesome. Post in the mastery section where the show and tell is. There's a thing there that says projects and collaborators.
Okay.
Post about the project in there, and maybe you can get some people. Just let them know what you're looking for. That sounds awesome. The nice thing about what you've done with your storytelling augmentation to your career is once you start putting these things together, you're going to be able to tell the stories really well, and you can take a lot of the skills you learned in film school and just now apply those using the AI tools and tell some of your stories. So maybe it helps you get funded and get the word out.
That's a very good idea. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Waziri, getting down to the last couple here. Waziri. Well, you're muted, or you're not. Your mic's not working.
About that. How's this?
There you go. That's it.
How's everyone doing? My name is Waziri. Everybody calls me Waz. I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm a management consultant, and so I've been serving SMBs for the last 12 years, kind of serving business owners from zero to the $4 or $5 million revenue range. And I really just fell in love with AI. I spent most of my career trading like technology stocks for Wall Street firms. And so that passion for technology and what's coming and how it's going to affect the economy is just something I see definitely here. So it's really just using it to create all the tools that my business owners need to save them time. And then also to save myself time. I've got 1 9-year-old and 2 8-year-olds. So getting things done is not easy, but I think my biggest pleasure has been seeing my son create video games with Claude.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Literally, him and his friends are over here just making games all the time. And so I feel like it's an opportunity to really make them creators and not consumers. If anybody has kids now, you know, they're always on YouTube and they're watching. And this is a way to take them off and say, you can go create that yourself. So I think that's been a pleasure. My wife's business has also been growing. So it's been great to use tools like N8N to create auto replies, to really just build out all these solutions. And to that comment about AI not being a tool, but more of a toolkit, spot on. I just love the entire toolkit.
Yeah, beautiful. That's awesome. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
I'm thinking about Waz's kids and Brandon's kids and how, you know, I have kids who are Gen Z, who are 18 to 21. Those are the kids I know, and how much they have taken in. They've spent so much of their adolescence watching, right? Watching YouTube, they just watch. And it'll be interesting to see this group in 10 or 15 years when you have this group who spent their adolescence watching, and then you have this whole group coming up behind them who were just actively building from the time they were 8 or 9 using AI, coming up with these solutions. We really need to see how they start to intersect.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's maddening. I can't get my sons to create. The creator mindset isn't there, right? It's this very passive thing. They'll play, but it's more like a passive thing. So yeah. Great. That's awesome. Thanks, Waz. That was awesome. And I think finally, I don't think I've missed anyone. Vicky Baptiste, rounding out the hell is, I know. You thought I would forget you again. I didn't.
I did. So, okay, who am I? I'm Vicky Baptiste. I live halfway down Illinois in the middle of the world's biggest cornfield. I have bad allergies too, by the way. In the salon, I'm the AI Salon community director and chief cat wrangler. And outside of that, I own a small web design and marketing agency. And when I say small, that's just so I can claim my AI tools as tax deductions. Outside of that, yeah, right. Yeah, all my subscriptions go through my business, so that's awesome. I had a big loss last year for some reason. Outside of that, I've just graduated from being from working on knowledge-based search to being the product owner for enterprise search at a large insurance company. When I think about AI, I think about how there used to be, before memes were memes, I don't even know if it was a t-shirt, a poster, a sticker, whatever, but it used to say, caffeine, it makes stupid people do stupid things faster. That's true of AI. It just helps you do all those things faster, right? And as a hardcore neurodivergent, I can now do all the things all at once, and AI keeps track. So I don't have to forget where I was, because it reminds me, because it's like, you know, all your stuff is in like ChatGPT, right? So you can just go and say, what was I working on? Except you might have like 15 different things in your list. But I always say I'll try anything once, but I'm not really that brave, but that's only true when it comes to AI. I just love trying all the different AI tools. And if I try everything once, I know what it does, I'm good. So I'm kind of like T-shaped, where like everything's like, you know, the surface level on a lot of things, but I go really deep on other things. It's specifically Midjourney and ChatGPT. But if I find something that I can really hyper focus on, I might get like an extra leg in my tea every now and again. So,
yeah, I think T-shaped personalities are going to be rock stars. Do you think that there's, for you personally, is the fact that these tools are getting indistinguishable, is it good, bad, and different? Like does that transition mean anything to you?
Just indistinguishable from like real life human images, like
yeah, from human only produced work.
So I said earlier before, like I could be watching a presentation at work or something, and I still have to count how many fingers the people have, just to really make sure. You know, I'm not when I say like I'm not worried about the crossover and like you can't tell, except you can't tell. Someone posted something the other day which actually got me thinking about like work. Okay, so I work for an insurance company, and they were saying that people are using ChatGPT to like doctor up images of cars to to make the damage worse, and you can't tell. So I think that our like insurance adjusters and things like that, we're going to have to, instead of saying, okay, now, you can just send your images in, just go around the, the car with your camera and send them in. We're actually going to have real life claims adjusters now to go.
Yeah, we're going to go back to people. There you go. There's some jobs rehired, right?
But that's so funny because it's not like you haven't been able to do that. Like I've always sort of, when I've been in a couple accidents, and I always thought to myself, like, I could make this look so much worse in Photoshop, right? Like, so it's so interesting that now people are thinking to do that with AI, and it's becoming a problem.
Yes. Yeah. But I think it makes it easier. Like not everyone had Photoshop, or not everyone could learn how to use GIMP if they didn't have Photoshop. And the learning curve was steep, right? But with ChatGPT, you just sell it. Just fix my photo so it looks like the car had an accident, and that's it.
Wow. Wow. All right, good.
Wow.
Cool. Absolutely fascinating discussion. I want to do a quick run through the news.
How about you? You should introduce yourself. Like, who are you? Where are you?
Hey, I guess we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Kyle Shannon, the co-founder of the Salon, co-founder of Storyvine, which is an automated video storytelling platform. We do a lot of work in the healthcare and pharma space. And then I have the AI Learning Lab on TikTok and other channels. Like I said, I have always been an unabashed technology optimist. I am finding it as the tools are getting more real, I'm seeing more and more visible resistance to AI, and it makes me sad because it's not going to go away. Every single technology advanced in the history of humankind has been met with people resisting it and rioting and smashing looms and throwing wooden shoes at people and saying, your calculator is going to ruin mathematics and spreadsheets are going to ruin calculator skills. And it doesn't change. I do think AI is a markedly more powerful shift, but I think it's akin to the steam engine, where the steam engine augmented our strength, right? Before that, you had to be a big, tough man. And now we have, spindly armed knowledge workers like myself, because we have steam engines that, do the physical work. Well, AI is going to augment our minds, and we're going to become super intelligent. And I find that tremendously exciting. If you look at the progression of mankind from when it augmented our strength until now, pretty remarkable stuff. And so we're entering that with intelligence, and I find that tremendously exciting. So it makes me sad that as the things get more real, and more palpable, the resistance is coming, and it makes me sad. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
How about you?
Hi, I'm Leah Fasten, co-founder of the Salon. I am also a commercial photographer, and I feel like I'm much more commercial photographering than I am AI saloning, or doing AI in general. I'm also a prompt engineer and do tons and tons of stuff in Midjourney, and I'm slowly trying to bring clients along and start to include that as part of my offering. It's still very separate though. I think AI is going to change everything, the way technology changes everything, and then I think it's also going to change nothing, and that human community and vulnerability, all the things that are really important now will always be really important. And so how can generative AI help support us? But also, I think that the things that make us human, the storytelling and the vulnerability and the art that is human, is always going to be really, really important to what we do. And so I don't want to lose sight of that. And that's something you hear me say a lot about generative AI is like, okay, you can do it. Does anyone want to see it? What does this say about you as a creator? What does this say about us as humans? And let's put that work out.
Yeah.
And I think about that an awful lot. So I love the salon, and my favorite thing about the salon is the community and the people that are in it. And I'm glad we have AI to bring us together, because that brings us together. But certainly the people I've met and the experience I've had with the people in the salon is what sort of keep I'm really inspired by. So I'm thankful that you're all here.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Let me just walk you through a couple of news items. I skipped this earlier because we were kind of on a roll.
Okay.
Okay, couple of things. So OpenAI today announced that they're building a social network, a competitor to X, which, if you follow the Sam Elon drama, is kind of funny. OpenAI also happens to own this thing called WorldCoin and World ID. One of the things that, if you're paying attention to certainly LinkedIn and certainly X, the amount of AI generated content and comments is becoming obnoxious and just gross and awful. And I don't know if they're going to do this, but it is possible that they put out a social network where you have to be a verified human to be a part of it. My instinct is they won't, because you won't get as high of numbers, right? Like you want people to use a social network. But I would find it personally refreshing to be able to log into something and know there were real people there. One of the reasons we ask people to use their real name and a photo that's at least a likeness of them in the salon is so that we can get to know one another. It's one of the reasons we have this specific meeting, is so that we get to come on here and understand who people are and what makes them tick, and just, all that sort of stuff. So I don't know anything about it. I haven't read much. I haven't read any of the announcements or anything, but I thought that was a fascinating development. And, I would say just pay attention to see if World ID is going to be a part of that. That could be a reason why people would use it as opposed to ones that aren't human verified. And it's also in theme with what we're talking about. GPT-4 launched yesterday to the API. So if you're a developer and play around with the API, it's cheaper and faster and about as good as O3 Mini, I think. And then we're apparently going to get the O3 model, which is the big reasoning model, and then O4 Mini, which is the next reasoning model that, the sort of little version of it this week. So that's coming. Kling AI just released 2.0, so super realistic video. So we're now starting to have multiple video tools that are doing, you've got VO2, you've got Kling AI, Luma Labs is getting pretty good. The physics is getting better and better and better in these video tools, which I'll talk about another one in a second. Yeah, Higgs Field AI. I just put great explosions there. People are posting a lot about the explosions on Higgs Field. So if you're making films and you want to do special effects, I'd say play with that one. Gamma 2.0. I know there's some fans of Gamma on the call. They just went into 2.0 today as well. You can make presentations on Gamma, websites, things like that. So that's worth checking out. This was one the other night that Brandon told me about. MGX.dev is another vibe coding tool, a new entrant into the vibe coding world. What's unique about it is when you give it a prompt, rather than just, sort of going through the process, it's got, what is it, Brandon? 5 different roles. It's got like a product manager and an engineer and a UX person, right?
Yeah, I've got it up on my screen right now if you want me to do a quick screen share.
Yeah, we'll do it. Let me just get the last news item up here, the last 2, and then have you give a little demo. But really, really fascinating model. And it's the first thing that I've seen, because what happens is you give it the prompt and it's like, okay, the product manager is going to talk about it, and then he's going to hand it off to the UX person, and they're going to do their thing. Level 5 AGI that OpenAI has defined these 5 levels. Level 5 is what they call an organization. So it's where you work with an AI and you have like an organization's worth of virtual employees that work for you. So this is the first interface that I've seen that kind of is using that model. So kind of interesting. And then the last thing that I'll just talk about is yesterday also, Google launched Dolphin Gemma, which is a large language model specifically trained on dolphin speech, dolphin sounds that they make, and they're seeing if they can train it and be able to generate new words and teach them words and things like that. So absolutely wild times. So with that, let me stop sharing and drop us out of here, and then take it away, Brandon.
Yeah, so this is mgx.dev. It is free to try. It's severely throttled. You get like 5 chats and just a couple of prompts a day. But I ended up paying the $20 because I'm working on a project that I just wanted to spend a little bit more time with it. And I'm really impressed by the way this thing works. So I've got Mike, he's my team leader. Emma is my product manager. Bob is my architect. And Alex, poor Alex, I've been beating him up all afternoon on this project. He's been hard at work.
Did you name them, or
no? It came with their own personas, their own avatars. It did all that work for us. But just like if you're familiar with Lovable, I've connected my Supabase account so it had some place to play with. And what I'm currently is dealing with an error where the site wasn't loading properly. It was locking and getting stuck. So I took a screenshot of the console and I said, "Hey, Mike, can you help me unpack this error?" And so Mike starts thinking about it, and then he spent 20 minutes on this, and he reached out to Alex, and he's telling Alex what's wrong, and Alex is now saying, "Okay, I see the error," and they're just going back and forth. Mike and Alex are just talking while we're doing this stuff here. And so now they've got this, and if they fixed it, it would show up here, but they haven't fixed it yet. So they have not done their job. But it's you can see the code that they're working on. And now I've got an error here, and so I'm just going to say, "Hey, Alex, can you fix this?" And then he'll keep working on it. And it, eventually, maybe they'll get it right, or maybe they won't. But for $20, it's I've been working on this thing all afternoon, and they're just going.
Yeah, and it's you sort of play this out with things like advanced voice and video avatars, video things like that. Like, I could very easily see an interface like this where it's just like you're like on a Zoom call, but you're with these virtual avatars, and you're like, "Mike, come on, can you talk to Alex?" And Alex is like, "I can hear you. I'm here." They're all
and the thing is, I saw Vicky's comment about what it's vibe coding with human names. It is and it isn't, because when I asked Emma, the product manager, for her take on this, she actually said, "Oh, well, if you're doing this type of project, you could either use Supabase or this other tool. Here's the pros and cons. Hey, Alex, because of this, I think you should use Supabase."
Oh, wow.
And so they stick with their defined roles. It's almost like they're ragged to specific personas, or they're trained on specific personas, and depending on what type of help you need, instead of just asking, like, "What do I do with this?" and it would give you the generic answer, it's actually giving you tailored answers. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Wow, very cool. Very cool. And that's mgx.dev, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
It's
Thank
really
you, sir. Yeah,
it's
really interesting.
It's really, and you start to realize how close we are to just putting teams together, right? That we have our own teams. We have our small business team, right? We have our accountant, and we have our marketing person. Like, if you think about someone's mic is on.
I got it.
Okay. You start to think about like what a small business needs, right? And the people that I talk to every day in my small business, and you start to realize how quickly they could become this. And then you start to think, okay, well, is that the direction we want to go? It's an interesting conversation to
Well, there's also, another thing, Leah, that I think is important to talk about here is when you see there's these virtual employees, it's very easy to go to the place of, oh, that means that those employees are going to lose their jobs and not going to get hired again. What Brandon's doing he wouldn't have hired those people in the first place, right? So there is a net gain of productivity. Now, listen, is AI going to cost some jobs? It absolutely is. But like, there are songs being produced where people are like, "Oh, if you produce a song, it's stealing from musicians." No, that's a song that wouldn't have been produced, right? Jim Ross's song he sent to the storage unit potential customer, he wouldn't have made a song. Like, that's just a net positive, musical moment in the world. And so I just want to be careful that we don't go hyperbolic on, if there's virtual people, all the people are useless. No, it's a net add to our humanity.
It's sort of a net add. Like I already, I outsource my editing now to AI, right? So that means an assistant isn't doing editing for me, right? Bookkeeping, I use AI now for, right? I don't use a bookkeeper. So yes, on the one hand, you're right. And that means I can be more productive, but there is work that I no longer will pay someone to do.
Right. Yeah.
Right? That and so that is something that is like, you can see it coming, where I have all these virtual people who are helping me grow my business, which is very exciting, but also my community of vendors is no longer a community of vendors.
Yeah, I know. No, it ain't all sunshine and roses.
This is interesting. It's a paradigm shift. It's a movement.
Yeah, exactly. Vicky.
So I have something similar where I created an agency full of like web design and marketing agency, and it has all the personnel you would want in a web design and marketing agency, and it has like 3 variations of each. So I have like 3 copywriters, and they're all skilled in different areas. I have a product owner, a business manager, whatever, UX designers, and they're all, I created the personas, like giving them degrees in whatever they needed and whatever, have them all listed in one document that is in the GPT. And so the one GPT can call on all of them, except I have to do the @ and call the person. The business owner will say, well, why don't you talk to Lena, the UX developer? So I'll like @ Lena and bring her into the conversation. I just have to work out a way for it to do all that itself, but I have it all ready to go. It's
and do you find it useful? Like, do they stick to their lanes, like Brandon was saying?
Yeah, they really do.
And
you've got to train them well. You've got to define your personas really well.
Yeah. And that's going to become a skill. Absolutely. Do you expect us to believe that cat is real? That's a very realistic robot cat.
Has 4 toes and sharp claws.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. That's cool. One more, Diana, and then we'll wrap things up.
So as far as real versus not real, I'm doing my best to develop AI interviewers for my organization. That's getting a lot of pushback because we do have volunteers who are part of the board in our organization. And what do you mean? They're not happy with it. But for me, it's like, well, if none of you are available, right? So there's that, and then. So I get, I constantly get somebody who hates AI show me video after video of like, did you see this interviewer where the guy interviewing is fake and the interviewer has to tell him to wave his hand and it's just like stoic. And, hi, my name is Ted and I know all about this job. And it's just like, it's, I could see I see the pros and cons.
Yep.
The pro being that it still needs a human being to make it work. That's just, it's not like HAL yet.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
Exactly.
But the last thing I want to also just ask here, I think somebody in the group, and I think her name was Claire, that she was talking about all the things you shouldn't do with AI. That's really my topic of interest because the last thing I ever want to do is ever get in trouble because of it, you know. And why I love it so much is because I feel like I guess because it's me and my own creative head, I was able to do things without it. So I think with it, I can do more. And what I mean is not get in trouble, not get in trouble with like copyright and all that other stuff. And I'd love to know more about the ethics.
Yeah.
And
so
things like that.
You've got 2 groups. So tomorrow night is Claire's group. Claire and Brandon's group is tomorrow night. So just go join the AI Salon if you haven't, and go into the events calendar. It's there. And then Vicky's got the upcoming, the ethics club. Feel free to join that as well. Cause that's exactly why those sub-communities exist. So thank you, Diana. Thank you, everyone, for your generosity and sharing. And good to see y'all. Good to see you, Leah. All right.
Good to see you, Kyle. Thank you for being here. Everyone join the salon. Make comments. Post your things. Be active. We're happy you're here.
Go coexist with AI.
Go coexist.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks, Ann.
See ya.
Bye, friends.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, bye.
Bye, everyone.